You order a coffee, pull out your card or your phone. You expect to get the coffee as you pay. Wrong. The cashier swivels the tablet toward you. In that instant, the shop noise feels like it drops away. The buttons on the screen suddenly look too big, too bright, too sure of themselves. 15%, 20%, 25%. Your finger hovers and starts to tremble. It is only 3 seconds, but it stretches. The coffee took 3 minutes to make, yet the moment you actually pay the real cost is right here, in this little standoff. You are not paying the price of the drink, but the price of not becoming the bad person. A smile is still on the cashier's face, but the silence behind it feels like pressure. You are not choosing gratitude. You are proving social decency on command. So here is the question. Why does a company keep handing you the payroll problem and asking you to solve it at the register? Tipping used to be simple. A few dollars left on a table, or a coin dropped into a jar by the door. If you did not tip, you did not have to announce it, because the refusal was quiet. Digital checkout kills that quiet. On a screen, no is no longer a private choice. It becomes a visible declaration, performed in front of a worker who is standing there, watching you decide what kind of person you are. And the screen is not neutral. It is engineered. The easiest thing to press is rarely no tip, and instead, you get large, pre-selected percentages designed to be clicked quickly. According to the Pew Research Center, 72% of US adults say tipping is expected in more places today than it was 5 years earlier. This is where the psychological design matters. Big buttons reduce friction, and defaults create anchors. People choose the middle option to escape discomfort. The screen is not asking, "How grateful are you?" It is asking, "How much awkwardness can you tolerate before you pay to make it stop?" That is not better technology. It is guilt, packaged as user experience. And it connects to something bigger than feelings. The reason this moment carries moral weight is that in parts of the US, tips are not just extra, they are treated as part of the wage structure. Under federal law, the minimum cash wage for tipped employees can be just $2.13 per hour, with tips expected to bring total earnings up to at least the regular minimum wage. That single number changes the entire social dynamic. When you press 20%, a business gets to breathe easier because a piece of labor cost is being carried by the customer's anxiety. The system nudges customers and workers into the same narrow space, where the customer wonders, "Why am I paying payroll?" And the worker wonders, "Why are you deciding whether I can pay rent?" Even inside the restaurant world, the money mix has been shifting since the pandemic. Base wages have risen, but the burden moves unevenly. The US is not one system. In states like California or Minnesota, employers must pay the full state minimum wage before tips. In those places, tipping is clearly extra. But in tip credit states, it is easier for tipping to feel like a necessary patch on a hole that should not exist. This is also why the conflict never lands on the right target. Customers and workers end up resenting each other, while the true winner stays out of frame. You are not the boss, yet the checkout screen recruits you to act like one. Step outside the US, and you'll find the awkwardness dissolves into different cultural patterns. In Japan, service excellence comes standard, with no extra payment expected. And London splits the difference with modest expectations. The pressure you feel at an American checkout counter isn't universal. It's a choice we've made as a society. Now add the last few years of acceleration. After COVID, service work reorganized around takeout, delivery, kiosks, and QR ordering. The physical act of tipping did not just move onto a screen. It spread into spaces where tipping used to be rare. When payment becomes a tap, the tip prompt becomes a default add-on to the tap. At this point, the interests split cleanly. For operators, labor costs are real and margins are thin. For payment platforms, tipping prompts are a feature, not a philosophy. But the platform does not absorb the social cost. The customer and the worker do. For policymakers, the fight keeps returning because tipping is not just manners, it is law. Courts and regulators have been tugging over how much non-tipped work can be paid at tipped rates, and cities are debating whether to phase out tip credits entirely. So what is the ending here? Is it do not tip? No, that is not the point. The point is that the nature of tipping has changed. It used to mean thank you after the fact. More and more, it now feels like please do not punish me, paid in advance. In takeout-heavy settings or kiosks, it can feel like a digital toll booth for basic transactions. The path forward isn't about individual choices, but systemic change. 3 models have emerged. First, there's wage parity, or one fair wage, where employers pay full minimum wage, making tips truly optional. Second, there's all-inclusive pricing, where menu prices reflect the true cost of service, much like buying a shirt. Zazie in San Francisco showed how this can work. Third, there's the service charge approach, a fixed percentage distributed across the staff. And then there is the most immediate, personal solution, which is not a policy at all. It is the courage to act consciously in that 3-second standoff. Sometimes that means tipping well because the worker is trapped in the system. Sometimes that means choosing a custom amount instead of an inflated default. Sometimes that means pressing no tip without performing shame, or giving cash directly so the platform cannot turn it into a behavioral lever. Let's return to that cafe counter. Same tablet, same bright buttons. But this time, your finger doesn't shake. You make your choice with clarity, knowing it's not about character, but about systems. As you step back from the counter, think of the millions of others facing this same moment today. Each tap on a screen is a quiet negotiation with conscience, rippling out into the larger question of how we value work and dignity in the digital age. Kindness should not have a price tag. And if someone's survival depends on your momentary discomfort, then the system is already broken. The question isn't whether you're generous. The question is why guilt has become another line item on our collective bill. As always, thank you for watching.